Hello! Oh my god. Hi! Welcome to my first live stream in a very long time. It's been a while since I had my last stream, I think like over a year ago. Yeah, so I am kind of having a rough start to my first one again, and it's just a harsh reminder that I should be checking all of my tech specs before before I start committing to a hard start time. But yeah, if you're waiting for me to start at 6, sorry about that. There was some YouTube OBS disagreements, but now I think I'm okay. But yeah, there might be some back end bandaging going on. But hey, welcome to my stream. If you are new around here, hi, my name is Moo Bear. I used to do a lot of streaming back when I was sort of figuring out my art career, my creative career, and now I'm kind of recommitting again. Live streaming was one of the very few things I really enjoyed, but it is a large commitment, and there was this last year has been super busy, so I'm trying to get back into well, I always intended to get back into live streaming again, but I just wanted to come back in a way that was sustainable for me, and in a way that would be enjoyable, community building, find a way to amplify creative projects and things. So that's what this channel is about. It's kind of a little rough right now because I'm in the middle of trying to design what this stream is going to look like. But for now, I just wanted to commit to start doing it weekly, to hold myself accountable, and to just find time during the week and maintain a sort of consistent practice of doing art with other people. And I think that system works really great in a lot of ways in other parts of my life right now, whether that's like meeting up with friends, working out, things like that. So like having sort of accountability circles has been really great for me. So I'm trying to rope this live streaming side into that part of my daily routine. I hope you find this channel sort of reassuring in the long run, as we work on projects together and sort of explore creative sides together, that is ultimately what I want to do, is just like kind of be very laid back, have no expectations of my work, and just commit to doing art with other people if they're interested and have time to join in. So I'm actually going to start with I'm actually sorry, I'm I'm in my office chair and it's like rolling around. This is the first time I've done a setup like this. But yeah, hi, my name is Moo Bear. I'm gonna do some art with you guys today, and the first sort of subject is going to be also just a very like non-strenuous subject, which are just like the Pokemon starters. Generation 10 just released their starters and they're very cute. It's been a long time since I've played Pokemon, and it's just like I grew up with it. I'm a millennial. I really loved it growing up. Generation 1 I still remember almost all of them. But yeah, so I want to go back into drawing them. And yeah, so I have Bulbasaur up here, but I've got like all of them kind of here as well. Generation 1 through all the way to 10, all the way over here. I have to say I really love this angry leaf chicken. Brout, I think is his name. And yeah, so I just kind of want to just start like sketching them, drawing them. I might just like jump around depending on how I feel. Anyone else joining in can jump around. But yeah, I'm going to be just sort of sketching and going. And like I said, this is like very, very low barrier, low effort work. And it's just sketching. And today I'm going to use my Caran d'Ache pastels. These are watercolor, water soluble, so I'm going to use those. And then I also have my color pencils here off to the side if I want to do some detailing. But yeah, so I'm going to start with... I was originally going to start with Bulbasaur. He's number 1, but I might go to Mudkip. Mudkip was my Mudkip and Chinchilla were my like go-to starters in Generation 2 and 3. So I might start with these two actually. I actually did not play the first Pokemon series, Red and Blue. I didn't get into Pokemon that way. I started with Generation 2 with did I say Chinchilla? I meant Cyndaquil. I've already forgotten his name. All right, I'm just gonna sketch him out because that is how I'll just get started. See, I'm already like, this is what happens when there's too many colors, because then I can't decide. But I think this is okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna roughly. Sorry if the camera shakes a little bit. It is attached to a very shaky desk, which I might have to rethink in the future. And every time my hand moves, the lamp moves with it. Like I said, I'm just filling pages. I'm just doing mark making. I'm just doing shapes. When I look at Cyndaquil, I wonder if he's like an anteater. Is he an anteater? He's kind of got that face shape. And his little hands. I think he is. I never really thought about what kind of animal he's supposed to be. But I think he's a little anteater guy. And for some reason, let me see if I can do a little tinkering. It might not let me do it when I'm live. I'm like, why is the image coming out? Again, technical issues. I was like, why is the image coming out so dark? Why is my, not my display capture, but my streaming cam is so dark? And then I don't think he has a tail. I think he just has like the porcupiney spikes on his back that are flame. The reason I chose this Caran d'Ache, which is the Neocolor 2, let's see if I can show you guys. It's the Neocolor 2 Aquarelle, which is a sort of a water-soluble pigment that allows me to create like a watercolor effect. I'm not doing this I'm not doing this on watercolor paper, so this is a little bit of a chaos mode. It's actually quite amazing to me how I'm so sorry my camera is somehow making this look really dark, even though I've got like a bajillion lights. A bajillion lights here. I was really mindful of the lighting this time around, and it still is not enough, even though there's a ring cam facing the page directly. Alright, so this paper might buckle, but it's alright. Like I said, I don't have a lot of watercolor paper to work with. Ooh, yeah, this dark gray is quite dark. I have to be careful. That doesn't bleed onto the much lighter. Oh my god, this song is so creepy. This is sort of like a lo-fi cover of Pokemon tracks. And I think this is one of the like Team Rocket or Team Magma or whatever the villains are. It's their theme song. Alright, I'm gonna do Cyndaquil's body and now his like... Okay, I'm gonna do the little flames. Yeah, what's really great about these Caran d'Ache pastels are like they're very opaque and they are really rich in color. And I've like really grown to love sort of this texture of paint. It's also very accessible as well. You could just carry around a few colors and mix them. And you just really need like maybe a little bit of water and a brush, and they sell like so many versions of transportable watercolor kits. So many people use them like for plein air and on the fly. Let's give him like a lot of flame in the back. Yeah, so I was setting up my live stream and I was everything was set up on the YouTube side, on the OBS side, but what I didn't think to check, which was naive of me, was that the two would connect flawlessly. And for some reason, OBS was like, I cannot connect to your YouTube account. And my YouTube account was like, I cannot grant access to your OBS account. I'm just like, why? Why can't you two used to communicate? But I think it's because my channel has undergone some, it's been a long time, there's probably been some updates, but also like I've also had like a username change, so it's probably just like freaking out and I just need a hard reboot. Alright, give me 1 second. I'm just gonna tinker with something. Sorry you got to see that for just a hot minute. Again. Sorry, my interface is very unprofessional of me. I'm so sorry. Whoa. Whoa. Alright. Okay, let's tone that down a little bit. There we go. Alright, I think I've got it where I want it to. Okay, it's not ideal. It's not ideal, but it's better than it was before, hopefully. So it's a little bit brighter. Might be something I might be tinkering with in the future, especially because I stream at evenings now, which means that the sunlight is gone. The daylight is gone. Not that it's so much better because my computer is kind of hidden in the corner of my room. But yeah, so we've got Cyndaquil here, and then let's try Mudkip. I'm just drawing all over my sketchbook. Don't care about placement, don't care about any of that. Alright, Mudkip, I'm not quite sure what he's supposed to be. I think he's supposed to be like a... He looks a bit tadpole-y. He looks a bit tadpole-y, but then when he evolves, he doesn't really look like a frog or a toad. I'm letting the water dry before I go back in with like details and stuff. I'm not done with Cyndaquil. Yeah, but after like generation 3, I'm like somewhat familiar with 4, only because of like Poplio. Wait, that's not Poplio. Is that Poplio? Wait. I wrote their names here. No, that's Piplup. Who's Poplio? Oh, it's the seal. That's who I thought. See, I'm not even... See, once Generation 3 ends, I have no idea who's who. Yeah, I only kind of know Piplup and Chimchar, but after Generation 3, I like kind of I kind of like dropped off the Pokemon map, so I don't know who's who anymore. Only from like social media kind of loving or hating the starter reveals. You kind of look like little... Mudkip's got these like little antenna on his cheeks, which is really cute. Profile-wise, I think Mudkip is a fun color combo. Look at... he's got his like big updo hair. Dun, 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 dun. Sorry, I just gotta... wish I could just focus on drawing, but I'm just trying to make sure. This is the paranoia of... Am I streaming? Oh, I am streaming. Okay. Oh my god. This is the nerve-wracking thing about live stream. It's like, wait, why am I not streaming? I am streaming. Oh my god. Wow, that was a moment of terror just then. Okay. Whew. What an adrenaline rush. It's always great when you I think that's happened to me once, where I was talking for like half an hour and then realized none of it... oh, maybe it wasn't like the fact that I wasn't streaming, but my mic was off. So like I spent like, I think a half hour or something talking to the camera and then realized I never turned on my mic. Yeah, so with these like evening streams, it's like tricky to get my lighting right, so that might be just something that I'll tinker with every stream, especially as the spring equinox arrives and our days get longer. I'll be probably adjusting on the fly because I like fall right within that my stream time falls right within that period of like the sun setting. So I'll probably be like golden hour in the first hour and then pitch black in the second hour. But yeah, I am going to be streaming a lot more. I'll be streaming weekly again. No more video game Let's Plays, unfortunately. As much as I enjoyed that, I realized, first off, I don't have a lot of time to play video games anymore, as much as I would like to. And when I do, I kind of just want that to be like my own time, and not be like a whole ordeal trying to set up on a stream. And my favorite streams from when I was doing my regular streams was doing a lot of artwork. So I found that really like helpful to have people around me that were also doing art and just kind of vibing and chat. And I would like to kind of fall back into that pattern. Wow. These Pokemon are getting quite big, but it's also filling the page quite quickly. I think my Cyndaquil is dry. Let me see if I can color him in. I'm just gonna bring my pencils out to a more accessible, you'll get to see all of them, to a more accessible spot. Let's see. Just kind of highlighting certain spots. Nothing too grand, but like just like adding the detailing that the watercolor kind of blurs out. And also, like, this is also like a play on textures, ways to make the, just seeing like what vibes with me, like what mediums work for me. And I'm a very big like textural person when it comes to art. So having a lot of fun like moments of interplay between mediums is really fun for me. It's sad, but I actually like don't really remember what Cyndaquil's final evolution or his middle evolution looks like. I like don't remember. I feel like no one ever remembers the middle evolution. But this was my go-to guy. This is my go-to Pokemon. And now I can't remember. Gotta include his little hands. Little bitty hands, and his underbelly area. And he's got these like little white toes that I can't really do much for at the moment, so I'm just gonna point him out. But yeah, that's Cyndaquil right there. Let's see. I have like these like fluorescent color pencils, but I don't know if they'll do very much good. Maybe just like, I'll try them at the end to see. I see that I'm gonna start having a huge pile of, yeah, this is not gonna show. I'm starting to accumulate a huge pile of drawing materials to the side of me. Where did that fluorescent pencil go? Oh, here it is. Oh, actually, it's actually really fun. It actually shows up very vibrant in person. I can see on camera it doesn't show very well, but it's very it's like almost like a highlighter effect. All right, and then maybe I'll do like a little. I think he was my first starter, so I'm just gonna give him a little fire crown. God, what was it? Was it gold and silver? Yeah, it was gold and silver, I believe. I had gold. I had Pokemon Gold growing up, so this was when I had Cyndaquil. And then we had Ruby and Sapphire, and we had the Ruby one. So I had Gold and Ruby growing up, and that's when I had Cyndaquil and Mudkip. God, I hope I'm not remembering that incorrectly. doing a little bit of nonsensical shading. Just shading what I can. Okay, and then I think Mudkip is now dry. Yeah, so I'm gonna make some changes to my streaming style. Anyone who's like watched me stream before, this is not my usual format. I used to have my face shown, and I'm not averse to having my face shown usually, but I realized it also like prevented me from like, it was just like extra effort. I realized getting ready for streams when you're like putting makeup on. Wow, this blue does absolutely nothing. Let's see. Yeah, I was like trying to find like a really good balance between like wanting to be more available for streams, but like when you're really tired or you're just like not feeling well, but you're streaming anyway, it's just like a lot of extra effort trying to make sure yourself that you're like TV presentable, live stream presentable. And I found that was just like a lot of extra work, and for some streamers that's definitely like a necessary part of their ability to connect with their viewers. And I love watching streams of like people showing their face, and but for me personally, I realized that I wanted to make myself able to do this more often without feeling exhausted and like not having another obstacle deter me from wanting to stream. And I think that's why I took such a long break from streaming, is the fact that I was like really trying really hard to kind of discover ways to make practices that I enjoyed more sustainable. And yeah, this Mudkip is so chunky. Sorry, I got distracted by my Mudkip. But yeah, I really wanted to be available to do live streams again, and I realized that I also have very little time left in my day nowadays, because I have started, doing a lot for my creative business, and I also work another job. Last year was worse. I had two other jobs, part-time jobs, so it was like kind of rough. That's why I sort of stopped streaming, was because I was trying so hard to make my other jobs work. And it was just a lot. But now that I have sort of time to reclaim on my own, this was like one of the first things I wanted to get back into, and I didn't. And because I have less time, I don't want to have it be another sort of thing where I only try for a moment and then stop. So that is why I'm no longer streaming with my face. But I will have a PNG tuber developed. I'm in the middle of designing one. And I'll have a PNG tuber, but as you can see from my little post-its, it's still under development. I'm still working on it. Oh wow, it's been 40 minutes. I've only done 2 Pokemon. Let's do the face for this one. Wow. It was very cute until the eyes appeared. And now the eyes are kind of like staring into the soul, and they're slightly uneven. That's alright. We're embracing imperfections. Yeah, so that's why Actually, let's move on to another Pokemon. Let's do these two. Let's do Owlet. Let's do Owlet. I also find Grookey really cute, the monkey one. Grookey's like really cute to me. Probably because he reminds me of Punch the Monkey, the viral monkey in Japan. He looks a little bit like a baby Punch. Oh my god, I just made that connection. But I also really like this fire cat. I forget the name, but hold on, I have the name saved down here. Let me just see. Litten. Rowlet and Litten. Oop. Okay, so I think this is Score Bunny. I'm so bad with their names. Okay, so let's do Owlet. And I think, okay, I said Grookey with such confidence, but now I'm second guessing myself. It is Grookey. Alright, so let's do Owlet and let's do Grookey, and then I'm also want to do Litten. Let's just do that, like, L worth of Pokemon right there. But yeah, it's been a long time since I've streamed. I feel a little bit rusty. I'm gonna do Owlet a little bit darker because I don't really have like that shade of... Oh wait, I do have that shade of brown. Oh, it's not really a brown, but it'll do. But yeah, I spent a lot of time thinking about what I wanted to do with streaming once I get back into it. And I have I've been doing a lot of like markets, in-person markets. I live in New York City, so a lot of them are based in Manhattan, Brooklyn. Some I've applied for in Queens as well. And I have like a whole theme around my booth, around the sort of stuff that I sell. And I want to carry that over into my live stream. And the theme of my booth is sort of like Witch's Caravan, which is a lot of sort of work that I've been doing for my portfolio that are a bit like darker, moodier. I really like emphasizing storytelling, so really like strong stories are sort of the centerpieces for my art inspiration. And so I have gravitated sort of away from like a cutesy style that I had early on in my career. So I've been doing a lot of like figuring myself out that way, like what is good for me, like what kind of art do I see myself doing repetitively and in a way that I enjoy. And I want that to be, I don't want a lot of my stuff to be always experimental. Like what is like some continuity that I can provide for myself and for like clients I want to take on in the future. So yeah, I've been trying to discover, I spent the whole last year like figuring that out. And that's sort of bled into sort of a lot of major decisions I made for myself creatively. So like I want the theming around my live stream design to be the same thing, like a traveling witch who has a lot of like sort of knickknacks, strange things, magical items, sort of the esoteric, but also practical, like practical things that bring comfort. I wanted a lot of that work to show through in my my branding. So This rowlet, not rowlet, owlet is like, did I say, is it rowlet or owlet? Oh my god, I'm already forgetting their names. I'm gonna say owlet. This owlet is a little bit different looking. He's my owlet. He's got my creative spin. Yeah, but I wanted sort of the work I was doing for the live stream prep to be kind of a mix between like a club and an academy, but not like super formal, but there to be some structure and some schedule involvement. Because like I said, the accountability for me is like really important. I think that's what I needed to start having my live streams be, is being more, provide a little bit more consistency to my life. I feel like when I used to do them, I either sort of did it like on a whim, like what I felt like impulsively in that moment would be fun to stream, or I like had streams where I was basically doing product design. Like a lot of the art I would do was like stuff I would like to sell and develop as products, and that was a lot of stress. So that I very much wanted to not do that this time around. I wanted to focus more on the lightheartedness of a daily practice. I'm gonna look back on this stream and hopefully the audio levels are balanced. I did record myself streaming earlier to see if the audio was okay, but you never know. Might have mixed up the levels in between. Wow, this owl looks so derpy. I'm wondering if I should maybe like change the eyes on my mudkip for a little bit. I kind of regret how they look. Okay, they look marginally better, except now they look kind of evil. Oh my god, they look worse. It's okay. I'll just sort of blur that out. Wow, this mudkip is so cute, except the eyes look like they're devouring your soul. Oh my god. These are horrifying eyes. Wait, do I have some white? I might have to use some white later. Alright, we're gonna wait until Owlet is all dried. Let's do Gurky. And he's got this little, like, cute little hair thing in his leafy bun, which is cute. Yeah, the goal today is to like just, you know, just jump right in, jump into jarring again. Make sure my live streaming is up to par and to get through as many of these little pokes as possible. But yeah, I have a lot of ideas on what I want to do with my live streams. Like different, like, I still want them to have these like principles. Principles of like doing art for the sake of art, no pressure, environments, have it be very casual. But I also want them to be fun and experimental in creative ideas. So I've done a lot of brainstorming on what I can do for that, and I find that like implementing something that's sort of, I feel like it's not really a curriculum, but sort of like categories of subjects, and that would be really fun. And I would like to sort of prep each month around ideas like that, and sort of let you guys know in advance on my Instagram like what each month would entail. Okay, without the eyes, Grookey looks quite scary, but I'm sure he will end up cute just like Mudkip. He's got the little outreached paw, and then he's got a lot of colors going on. I think more colors than the other ones. Kind of looks like a little imp when his features aren't clearly defined. Okay. I'm gonna round out his head a little bit because he's looking a little strange up there. Alright, there we go. We're starting to get his general structure now. Alright, he's gonna hit the end of the page, which is unfortunate because he's a lot bigger than I drew him a little bit bigger than anticipated. Yeah, but that's another one of the exciting things about doing my live streams again, is to do art with people again, and to create this sort of like creative weekly practice that I've been sort of craving, but haven't really found the time to implement. But I think I'm in a good place now this year to sort of find the structure to implement it, and I fully intend to keep to it as much as possible, because this is where the ideas come from sometimes. And I have my own like working portfolio right now that I'm developing professionally, in a sort of completely separate sphere, which is nice, because I felt like maybe I was trying to do too many things in the past. Okay, there. I made him a little rounder. Made him a little bit rounder, and then I'm gonna give him his eyes. His eyes look a little off-center, but it's okay. Man, the proportions on Grookey are harder than I thought. It's because like I just did Owlet, who's literally just a sphere. Alright, I'm gonna fix Mudkip's eyes because it just keeps looking at me and it feels so strange because he was so cute and then now he's so scary. Which I kind of vibe with, but... Alright, you know what? I feel like I'm making it worse. So each time I try to edit his eyes, now they look somehow even more. Now he looks possessed. This Mudkip is cursed. Alright, whatever, it's okay. I'm just gonna leave him now. I've tried 3 times to fix his eyes and it's not working. Alright, I'm gonna add Grookey's little hair thing with I think a colored pencil instead of the crayons, or instead of the pastels. Yeah, but like a major source of inspiration this past couple months has been actually like Greek mythology. I've like really fallen back in love with Greek mythology again. There's I don't want to give all the credit to the new Odyssey movie coming out, but that kind of just like revitalized my sort of realization that, oh yeah, like I freaking loved Greek myth. That was like that was like sort of how I got into a lot of fantasy series, and was sort of the gateway for me to appreciate a lot of like works with a lot of complicated and morally gray lore, but also like sort of have a lot of world building and human history and structures that we attribute to our lives, like just the way that the mythos is built in a lot of like high fantasy books is all because I've grew up really, really loving Greek mythology. And it's been I read like a lot of the original Greek myths, but I actually haven't read a lot of the modern contemporary versions of them. So I've never gotten into Percy Jackson, and I only recently read Circe by Madeline Miller, who also wrote Song of Achilles, which are like both like highly commended contemporary versions of Greek mythology. And I freaking fell in love with Circe. Like Circe was always one of my favorite characters in the Odyssey, but it wasn't until I, as an adult, like as an older woman, reading Circe just sort of like was that really great bridging point between my empathy for her as a woman of the times and the sort of supernatural and mystical nature of Greek myths. So like reading Circe, I think, was what really revitalized my creative energy coming into the new year. I finished it in December of last year, and since then I've just had this like burning urge to do a lot of like work that I previously sort of had in the back of my mind. So a lot of my portfolio pieces this year is like really centered and revitalized by Greek lore. A couple years ago I got to see Hades Town, and that is like one of my favorite musical soundtracks. So there's just like been a lot of sort of subtle, I feel like, direction towards me embracing that part of me again. And so I long ago gave away my copy of the Odyssey, but I recently bought a new copy again to read through it. I've read the Iliad as well, but I haven't read I'm gonna butcher this pronunciation, the Aeneid, which is the founding of the Roman Empire. And is like the offshoot of what happens after certain characters are done with the Trojan War. So I've also like dived back into my own sort of cultural history and folklore and Korean culture. There's a lot of stories my grandma and my mom used to share with me that I really want to put into artistic pieces that many people aren't familiar with. And the absolute like insanity of K-pop Demon Hunters. I really loved K-pop Demon Hunters. I believe that it showcases quite a lot of what's really beautiful and strong about Korean culture and its musical industry and its musical history. And the fact that they like were at the Oscars and have won awards is pretty crazy. But it's sort of like weird to see a lot of people really love Korean culture based on their exposure to this movie. And it just, I don't know, it made me sort of want to sort of have a lot of like art inspired by it because I am very proud of Korean culture and my ancestry, and I felt like these were very private parts of me in the past, but now I kind of want to share them because I think there's now like an audience of people who are interested / respectful of Korean culture in that way and appreciative of it. So I am very excited for these projects. Okay, for some reason Owlet's eyes are like almost exactly the same as Mudkip's, but still looks normal. It looks, I mean, he still looks a little haunted, but I think I just have to accept that my art is just gonna have to look haunted sometimes. Aw, little Owlet. Wow, this yellow is not gonna show. It's really hard to tell because my sketchbook area is really brightly lit, but that means like everything else in my apartment is really dark. So it's kind of hard to see what colors I'm picking up out of my colored pencil box. Wow, see, this is like, it looked dark brown over here, but it's actually like a light purple. I think this will be better. Alright, again, this is different from what I expected, but it's okay. It's not coming out a little uneven. Screw it. I think I'll just go with like a super dark brown. Alright, I also have this like, since this is like paper that isn't watercolor friendly, it has another piece of paper underneath to protect the next sheet. Because these pokes are taking up quite a lot of room. I'm gonna give him a little hair. Kind of looks like he kind of looks like a garlic mound. Kind of looks like a little garlic mound guy. Okay, and then he's got the... There we go. Now I just need to outline his feet. Give him some talons. Why not? Alright, and then does this tie need anything? Guess I can add this like... Oh, doesn't even show up. It's too dark. I'll just like add a little definition around the bow, but otherwise, yeah, he just looks like a scruffy little guy who just woke up. Alright, let's do some coloring for Grookey. Alright, this area is becoming chaos. After Grookey, I'm gonna have to clean up a little bit. Yeah, Grookey's really cute, but genuinely, for some of these Pokemon, I don't remember what their final evolution looks like, and I feel like that's a major part on me deciding whether or not I want them as my starter. Okay, good to know, but the Neocolor pastels are so dense that the color pencils don't really show up well on it. Or like it doesn't show up consistently. So it's like this line over here is really dark because it's on the paper, and then this line over here is much lighter because it's on the watercolor area, on the watercolor surface. Alright, that's good to know. That's like good information for me to, if I were to ever use these combination of stuff in the future. Like what to look out for, basically. Do I have like a straight up black? I don't know if I do. And if I did, oh wait, I found it. Oh my god, he's so cute! Now that I know that that's the mouth. Look at his little mouth! He doesn't look a lot like the... he doesn't look a lot like the Nintendo version, but it's okay. I'm actually kind of loving how he turned out though. Okay, little Gurky. Yeah, so I've got like a lot of major projects in the works, idea-wise, regarding Greek mythology, and I have been trying to like brainstorm other ideas. I know I want to do like a really large, a lot of what I've been experimenting with is block printing. I've actually been in a block printing intensive these last few weeks, since last month. And it's really like unlocked a part of me that found sort of like, it's like when you find like your sort of, I really don't like saying style, but it felt a little bit like, okay, this is sort of something I can see myself really enjoying for a long haul. 'Cause like, I feel like a lot of people put a lot of pressure on themselves to find their style, and first of all, I feel like style changes all the time, and I was like one of those people that was always putting pressure on myself, and I would read like books, I would read like watch YouTube videos, I would like listen to all these other artists explain to me what style meant to them, and it's just something that you don't really, I feel like for me as a creative, I felt like I wasn't watching like where my artistic direction was going until I found my style, which I think kind of detracted from me finding what I enjoyed. So yeah, that's a lot of pressure. Like, oh, like I'm not a serious artist until I know what my style is, like what my defining features are, and you can't really know that until you've done a lot of art for yourself and experimented and done a lot of things, and you just fall into these sort of natural patterns of what you like and don't like, and you don't know that until you've done it. So yeah, first of all, Grookey's done. He's so cute. He's just so cute. These other three are real scruffy. They're just real scruffy guys. But Gurgi came out so cute. Look at him. It's probably because I've been so obsessed with Punch lately, and he's just such a cute guy. I haven't forgotten his hair. I know he's got a little wooden thing in his hair. Let me do the hair for a moment. But yeah, he's got like a little wooden beam in his little twig top. But yeah, going back to my soapbox about finding your style. And there's so many books, there's so many things out there about finding your artistic style. There's a lot of like, I think branding, a lot of the branding advice out there is like, find your niche. I feel like that's really hard to do in the beginning because you haven't really done a lot. And I feel like you can only really understand what niche and style really means until you've done a lot of stuff. So, okay, before I continue down this path of explaining things, I'm gonna do Litten. I'm gonna draw Litten now. And I might have to do a water Pokemon after that because I was so traumatized by this Mudkip. I haven't gone back to doing a water Pokemon. Okay, wait, let me get tidy here for a moment because my crayons are out of control. There's a lot of stuff here. I'm sorry if this is particularly loud. Oh my god, I really love this cookie. Oh my god, you guys. See, I would never have gone out of my way in my day to draw any Pokemon. And look, now I've produced an absolutely amazing little monkey guy, which is a Pokemon I've never even played with. Okay, so, alright, it's a little bit cleaner now. Let's move up to this top corner and do Litten. Let's see. This color was good for Cyndaquil. Let's do it for Litten too. It's that nice sort of like bluish charcoal gray. Alright, let's see if I can replicate how cute. Maybe I just need to make them... They're either gonna be really cute or really scary. Honestly, that's my whole market scenario right now, is that so much of my art when I first started out was like cute art. But I, as much as I appreciate and I adore cute art and it kind of comes naturally to me, I don't love making it like all the time. There are days where I like really, really love doing cute art. But then there are also days where I'm just like, that's not really like, I feel like it's not representative of who I am as an artist, is the spiel. Ultimately. Wow, this Litten character has such a poker face. My god, he's got the most deadpan face ever. Let's see if we can make it work. And like the craziest mustache. It's got these like sideburns that come out of its face. Alright, this is like a matter of trusting the process. It's always a matter of trusting that your art will not come out horrifying. But yeah, at the moment this is like the two sort of conflicting styles that people see when they come to my art booth, is my early career stuff, which is all sort of like cutesy and colorful, and then my more like mature side of my creative work being a little bit more darker and angrier and has a more subtle color palette. This music is like so nostalgic to me. Pokemon really just had like a huge chokehold on generations of people. Okay, alright, let's do... He has a sort of a small, like, thin tail. Let's give him like a sort of a chunky tail. Maybe a chunky tail will make him a little bit more my style. I like it when... I realized all of my Pokemon I've chosen are all a little chunky. I do not like very streamlined Pokemon. This is my attempt to make Litten chunky as well. In fact, I'm gonna give him even crazier. Oh, he's got similar sideburns to Mudkip. I kind of drew them the same way too. Make it a little shaggier. Let's not make a dainty cat, let's make a chunky cat. I think his like evolution, his higher evolutions are actually... Well, I don't know if they're like chunky or if he's just like muscular. They look so horrifying until the final details go through. Alright, so he's got like these two bands here and here. Yeah, and also a big major thing that I realized was I've done a lot of conventions, and I really love Comic-Con conventions and anime conventions, and I've done selling in person at some of them, and I realized that I love going to conventions as an attendee, and I do not like doing them as a vendor. I feel like the some conventions encourage more original art, but a lot of them are fandom based, which makes sense. That is the... And it should be, like, I definitely, that's not the problem I have. It's just that, like, for me, I realized that I actually like doing my own original art. I'm much more someone who did a lot of fan art early on, and I loved it because it was sort of like a good jump off point to figuring out like what I wanted, what I liked and what I didn't like, and it became easier to me to do fan art in the beginning. But the more I like did art for a prolonged period, I realized that I actually really love doing my own art and inspired by original ideas. So I very quickly had to pivot from doing a lot of fan arty work to doing stuff that seemed highly original. And it was very tricky trying to find... Like when I first made this like knowing transition between both my style, both the way I worked and the way I saw myself as a growing artist who wanted to start reaching out to clients and professionally working with people, it was realizing, okay, I very much have to like cut off the parts of me that I did not want to, like for instance, if a lot of my portfolio was going to be a lot of fan art with a lot of this like brightly colored works that I personally didn't see myself evolving in, I definitely did not want people hiring me if they saw my work to be in that style. So it was very hard for me to like, that's why I kind of took a long break, because I was kind of going through like a personal crisis about my creative side and like what invigorated me. And I realized that I needed to spend time more on myself, and I needed to just make the change and just commit to it. So I did. I actively made some changes based on what I learned. And I like don't regret the early learning. It's not, I don't think it was a mistake to realize this. In fact, I think a lot of artists go through something similar, where you realize like, okay, this thing that used to define me and was something that I kind of based my whole social media and my branding and my portfolio on is no longer like me anymore. What do I do? And yeah, I'm actually really glad I figured that out now rather than later. So that's why I'm actually very grateful for it. And so I started producing a lot of art that really like moved me and challenged me and made me feel like it was me, even though it was hard and it was like very different from what I was used to. And I think people have been like picking up on that. I feel like I've grown a lot this last year in a way with like connecting with people at markets, connecting with friends who are also artists, talking to people both online and in person. I feel like it comes off very strongly that like I'm a lot more confident in my work and a lot more appreciative of, and sort of that like, how do I explain it? It's sort of like when you're not so stressed about your own work, then it sort of expands your mind to appreciate things around you. And I think that kind of came off as both like confident and also extremely like involved in other people's artistic careers, or their lives in general. Like even my friends who are not in creative fields, like I just like, my brain was just unburdened, because I was actually like happy, which is kind of not very groundbreaking when you say it like that. But at the time, I think because I was so on this like track of like, okay, I need to like monetize this, I was like so stressed out trying to figure out like what I was trying to do with my life basically, that when I finally like found balance in what I wanted to do, it was sort of like a big weight had been taken off. So you'll kind of see, like anyone following my social media will kind of see like on my Instagram feed, it's like kind of like a jump between styles now. You can kind of see like my early stuff very heavily in the beginning, and you'll see what I mean. It's like a lot of it's Animal Crossing too. Like that was like my main source of inspiration. It still is, but I just don't want to do art for it anymore. And like video games are still like a huge part of my life and I love them, but once I realized like what I liked as a consumer versus what I liked as a artist was very different. And for a lot of people that's very interchangeable, which I sort of envy, but I realized that there are certain forms of art that I really liked to appreciate, as like reading the manga or watching the show, and going to a comic convention and getting fan art of that character or that storyline, but I didn't necessarily need to make art of it myself, with the exception of like certain fantasy books and fantasy series, because I'm drawn to like really strong stories, and some of the strong stories I really love are like Lord of the Rings, Over the Garden Wall. So like I guess it's still considered like fan art. It's so weird when you say fan art for like Lord of the Rings though. Is it really fan art? Is it fan art if it's only like more modern sources? I don't know. It's like, I'm guessing it still is fan art though, because it's not my IP. But there's just been so much art produced over Lord of the Rings. It just like makes me wonder, like, it must be all fan art. I just didn't think at the time it was fan art. So yeah, I will still do fan art, but like but of usually now I'm like inspired by a lot of like books I grew up with and stories I've been told as a child. I have a piece that I'm doing right now for my print intensive that's inspired by the first, I think, horror book I ever read as a child. And every millennial, a lot of millennials, not every millennial, will remember Girl with the Green Ribbon, Jenny. She's the character that a lot of people maybe fondly remember from reading in a series of books called it's not Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, that's the really scary one. It's like scary stories in a room. I have the book. I actually like went on thrift books and bought an original copy of it, and it was so nice when I received it too. It was like in its library sleeve still, and I was like, oh, this is so nostalgic. This is how I first read Girl with the Green Ribbon. Jenny is my girl. She's like one of the very first horror stories I've read and remembered. And also because she was like the perfect amount of horror. It was like, it wasn't like true horror. I know it was for a child, it would be, but it was sort of like as an adult, it sort of tickled that part of me that was morbid. So I really loved that story growing up, and I think it's a huge defining part of me in my understanding of myself. So I am doing a really large block print design of her, which I'm hoping to... I did the transfer today, and it was so rough. It was a rough transfer. So I'm wondering if I'll be able to carve her in a way that'll show all the details, but yeah, I'm in the middle of making a huge print of her as well. And this is like every single project I have in mind for myself with block printing has been like a challenge, like things I want to do, because I realized I really like scale and I really like a high level of detail. That is like sort of the things about me that I realized I really love and like to challenge myself on. So I try to have every piece I do sort of like grow in scale and also in composition be more and more complex. And I'm also experimenting with ways to... I am also a huge mixed media person, so I really like the idea of like mixing block printing with fiber arts. So I'm trying to find ways to do embroidery work as well on some of the stuff that I do. So it's kind of all experimental right now, but so far I've had really good results, and I think people have been like feeling that energy. And like at markets, the prints that I made more recently have been doing like much better than prints I've made in the past. So I'm taking that as like a good sign. And I'm certain that there will be days where like I'm very disappointed in my work. But I think right now I've sort of hit a groove where I finally realized I've had such huge like epiphanies all in a row that it feels kind of like I've kind of hit like a good working point. Oh no, the eye got blurred out. Oh, it's probably because of all this yellow. The yellow washed it out. I'm gonna have to redo that eye. I'll redo it when it dries. Let me see what other water Pokemon I can work on while Litten dries up. I haven't done any of the OGs, but like everyone knows the OGs. I don't know how I feel about this frog one. Which one is this? Froakie. The waters are really like hit or miss. Let's do is this Gekwa? Gekwa, yeah. The Generation 10 water Pokemon. Kind of giving us a side glance there. Let's do like a slightly weird looking Pokemon. But yeah, there's like a good trajectory in what I'm doing creatively, and that's why I started live streaming again, because I'm like in a good place of like talking to people in my life who are also doing really like hard work in their fields, and are finding satisfaction. And I want this to be a similar sort of vibe of creativity, but also things in your life that are going well, and celebrating small successes, and just like connecting with people over innocuous things, like things that are meant to help you just relax and get your mind off of things so that you're not always stressed. It's hard to create a stress-free environment, and so these live streams become sort of a mini sanctuary in a way. I would be really happy with that. So regardless, I will be here every week to do art and push myself, and I'm hoping that it will also create like a situation of repetitive creative work for some people as well, and something that we can like do together and celebrate together. I'm trying to find ways to do a lot of things with people in the future as well, virtually of course. So I've got many ideas. I've got lots of them, and I will very slowly, and I realize like things like this take time, and I want to give them proper development. Can I make this Gekwa also chunky and cute? Maybe. I'm gonna try. I'm gonna try to make this Gekwa a little chunky and cute. Can't really see its tail, so I'm gonna have to guess at the tail a little bit. Oh, this pose he has is like kind of Stitch-like from Lilo and Stitch. Kind of has that weird like alien sort of a weird like alien stance. Alright, we've got like half an hour left until it's 8 o'clock here. This is wild, it went by so quick. I always forget live streams go by really quickly. Alright, this is just mindless mark making. It's like Gekko's got these like, he's got these like long eyelashes, like long falsies. Yeah, so I'm very slowly rolling out the visual aesthetics for the streams moving in the future. So So we shall see how that goes. I'm just trying to dedicate some real thoughtful time to it, because I've had this idea, I've had a lot of ideas for a while now, and yeah, I'm just trying to like do them justice. But I did want to start streaming as soon as possible in a sort of more accessible, low barrier way anyway. So that's why my current stream is just very casual looking right now. But I will have a PNG tuber, I will have a different overlay. I'm also working on animating some loading screens and like, yeah, just doing some extra work visually. So I can make streams that are more in the aesthetic of my brand, which I'm narrowing down. Yeah, because like if you've ever been to like a Comic-Con or sort of a large market and you yourself would like to do large markets someday, and want to be someone selling their artistic goods someday, I personally like am very drawn, unless it's like an artist that I personally am very like have followed and personally involved with, and want to see at a market. I'm otherwise drawn to like extremely themed booths. I find that booths that have like just like an overwhelming selection of stuff, too overwhelming. Like I suffer from decision paralysis, and I do not like gazing at 500 different things to decide what to buy. So I personally gravitate towards a lot of booths that have sort of like a theme to them. There was one that I saw at Level Up Expo in Las Vegas where it was like a really large booth, but the artist didn't have a crazy amount of stuff, so it wasn't like super overwhelming. So you can very like clearly see like their work. And she had like a really adorable product that was like a hot pot soup design on a tote bag, and you could choose to add pins to it, and the pins were like ingredients for a hot pot, which is so cute. So like things like that really resonated with me. There was like 2 stalls that were very much like designed to look like almost like video game convenience stores almost. One of them was like a more modern take with a lot of like gachapon sort of things, like vending designs, and the other had like a very traditional striped awning sort of in front of their booth, and like a menu of items that was very clear, and it's just like, it was just very well thought out. Like a lot of that stuff is like excessive, and unless you have a ways to transport these things lightly or to have someone help you, it is very hard to do by yourself. So I spent a lot of time like experimenting this last year on what I liked to my booth to leave people feeling with, and which is like a witch's caravan was the theme I wanted to go with. I wanted the theme to reflect sort of the transitory nature of my art, a lot of which is like handmade, limited edition. I don't plan on having an online store, so a lot of my stuff can only be bought in person. So that kind of thing really mattered to me, and sort of a caravan that travels with sort of unique goods and only is in your life like a hand. Like I was very much inspired by the Khajiit traveling in Skyrim, and you come across them like in different places, in some areas, or they're like hunkered down for a limited amount of time somewhere. That was very much the nature of what I wanted to reflect. I didn't want to be a permanent storefront sort of design. I wanted to be a traveling merchant. I was also inspired by the Duke in Resident Evil, as well as oh god, what is his name? I think he's just the merchant in Resident Evil. He's the one who sells a load of guns to Leon. forget the character's name. I don't play Resident Evil. I watch other people play it, so I don't have that sort of natural kinetic memory of it. And that is and I feel like that's like a good, because I was told as soon as I started implementing these like intentional changes in my market booth this last couple months, I've had quite a lot of people tell me that they really liked the design of my booth. And I think it's because I really put a lot of energy into like theming it, and I'm still experimenting. My current booth setup is like really heavy for me to carry around all the time, especially if I get a larger table, like a 6-foot table. Carrying enough stuff to cover a 6-foot table is a lot. So I wanted to find ways to make it lighter on myself. So I'm still developing how it's gonna look, but I do have a lot of sewing experience. I want to have a lot of like parts of it that are fabric. Fabric is light to carry, it covers huge areas, and I don't want to carry around a huge ton of plastic and metal. But I also want my design to look rustic, so a lot of my display things are wood, which are heavy and really difficult to flat pack. So it's like give and take. So if I'm gonna carry around a lot of this like rustic wood displays, I'm gonna have to compromise somewhere else. So I've decided to go the fabric route and like use a lot of fabric to display things as well. All right, this gekwa is coming together. I think the Litten is definitely done. Gonna go back and do Litten's eyes. I might have time to do one more Pokemon before signing off this first stream, which is wild. I hope anyone who's missed today's stream can like catch up either with the VOD or at future streams. I know it's a tricky time for a lot of people, so let's see. Let me get the eyes set up here. Gekko's eyes are fun though. Gekko's eyes are really exciting. I'm gonna try and figure out the best way to bring out the colors for the eyes. So yeah, I'm happy to like talk about my creative businesses, obviously with viewers, answer questions. Some of my videos go into what I do for my markets and as a creative business owner, but I am straying away from that actively in future videos. So my live streams are a good way to like talk about that sort of stuff. But I personally am gonna pivot towards making a lot of like more artistic videos, creatively artistic videos, rather than businessy videos, which I originally thought I'd love to do, but I like my live streams. I've decided I know what I like and what I don't like, and moving forward, my videos on the YouTube channel will be more artistically inclined, kind of like my live streams now. Wow, can't believe I just kept talking for 2 hours. been a while since I've like talked this much. I feel like today, all of today, I didn't talk at all until the stream started. Yeah, Gekko's eyes are fun to do. Gekko's eyes are like big and alien looking. Okay, there we go. Alright, I'm gonna define Litten a little bit. Let's see, let me get Litten's eyes. They were so good before and then they got diluted. Okay, I lied. Maybe I don't have time to do one more Pokemon. I might just have time to define these guys. There we go. Alright, his eyes are back. Alright, let's just use straight up black on Litten. I don't like doing that. I like to have a little bit of color, but eh. I think this is the only one that will show. I'm gonna add him a little fluff to the ears. God, he looks so moody. He looks like such a grumpy cat. Okay. It's got a little like spike tail, kind of make it look a little bushy. And give him his little nose. And then just define some of the patterning on him. Maybe I'm just more comfortable drawing mammals. Maybe drawing mammals comes a little more naturally to me. Or maybe just because I've done a few and now I've got the practice in. I don't know. 'Cause this actually looks like the Pokemon, whereas I keep looking back at Mudkip. Poor Mudkip. Like. Okay. Alright, that's that little guy. I'm not going to draw the mouth. Let's leave the mouth out of it. Then let's do a little bit of reddish highlights. Alright, the red has to be really dark. Otherwise I can't see. Yeah, video game wise, I've just been watching a lot of YouTubers play the new Resident Evil 9 Requiem. Mainly because older Leon is very fine. And he was not the protagonist that I actually really liked Jill in 3. I thought Jill was super cool in 3, and now it's Leon and 9. I'm kind of waiting to see if Ada Wong will show. And then, yeah, I've seen the trailer for the new Pokemon Wind and Wave, and yeah, it's a cute one. It's very cute. But I just find, you know, I feel like I've taken the Pokemon route before, and I've invested quite a lot of time and have very fond memories. But I think I've like hit a point where unless there's like something revolutionary that happens with Pokemon, it's gonna just be like me just appreciating it from afar. Alright, let me get Gekwa all finished up here. Okay, this blue is not doing it. I don't know, maybe I'll have to use the black, which I don't want to do. No, I might have to use the black. This blue is too blue. Gekko doesn't have a mouth, it appears. Just kind of looks like it's doing a little smirk. I like the idea of the black transitioning to a lighter blue, sort of to give this sort of chameleon effect. Any other video games? I mean, I'm just waiting on Concerned Ape to... I mean, everyone's been waiting on Concerned Ape to finish Haunted Chocolatier. Because once that game drops, I will be gone for a long time playing it. God, I think Stardew Valley is still my #1 most hours spent playing on Steam for me. It's either that or Skyrim. So yeah, if either Skyrim 6 or Haunted Chocolatier drops, I will be putting up my not open door sign. Alright, I'm giving Gekwa quite a lot of talons, which I don't hate. Yeah, the talents just come so naturally. This was fun. This was a fun one. Gekko was pretty fun. Alright, let me see if I can get some of those like eyes accentuated. Okay, and I think that's it. I think that's all of them. That's all of them sort of done. Here's like a bigger view. Wow, it got dark outside. Oh my god. The sun was still out when I started streaming. But yeah, this is gonna happen a lot where I have a ton of lights on myself and it's still gonna be quite moody and dark. But yeah, I drew about 6 Pokemon today and they are very cute. But my favorite is obviously Grookey. Grookey, this little monkey here. He's so cute. He turned out really adorable. And if you watch the stream and you do some art yourself, I'd love to see it. You can always tag me. I'm gonna try and get my Discord, maybe even like an alternative to Discord set up, somewhere where the community just can like share art with each other. I know Discord is sort of everyone's go-to, but I don't know, I have to like think about it because it's so overwhelming for me sometimes to set that up. So yeah, thank you for watching. If you tuned into the stream today, thanks for watching. And yeah, I'm gonna be streaming every Wednesday night from 6 to 8 p.m. Eastern time because I'm in New York City. And I'm going to try and upload at the beginning of every month, like what I intend to stream for my Wednesday nights, so you guys get a heads up. And yeah, today was very casual. Next week will also be very casual. Moving forward, I will slowly try to develop things to be a little bit more in tune with like my brand and stuff. But yeah, that's a slow process and I don't want to miss out on building a community with you guys who are also looking for sort of a little art sanctuary. And yeah, I am so glad I jumped back into streaming, and I hope that I get to meet a bunch of other creatively minded people or people who are looking for a creative outlet. And yeah, I hope to see you at the next Wednesday stream, which will be more Pokemon, but hopefully you'll enjoy it. So thanks you guys, thanks for tuning in to my first stream in 2026 and moving forward. But yeah, I'll see you next week.